Hello everyone and welcome to the Bloxyvision semi-final allocation draw. My name is Bald and I co-hosted Bloxyvision last year. Tonight we'll find out which countries will compete in semi-final 1 and semi-final 2 and in which half of the show they'll perform. Each country will be randomly placed into a semi-final and then drawn into either the first half or the second half of that show. And then lastly, we'll figure out the full running order. This helps keep the competition fair and balanced. And of course, it's the first step on the road of the Bloxyvision Grand Final. So, let's get started. We have all of the 30 participating countries sorted into 5 different pots, based on voting patterns in real life Eurovision. This means there's 6 countries in each pot. 3 of those will be in the first semi-final and the remaining 3 will be in the second. Today, we're here to figure out which countries will end up in each semi-final. So, let's get started. First, few competing countries in the first semi-final. From pot 1, we have Albania, which will compete in the second half of semi-final 1. From pot 2, we have Norway. Norway will be competing in the second half of semi-final 1. Next up, we have pot 3, which is the United Kingdom, the winner of the Bloxy battle. They will compete in the first half of semi-final 1. Next up is from pot 4, we have Monaco. Monaco will be competing in the second half of semi-final 1. And last but not least, from pot 5, we have Luxembourg. Luxembourg will be competing in the second half of semi-final 1. So that is our first few done for semi-final 1. Now let's continue on to semi-final 2. We are now headed onto the countries that will compete in semi-final 2. Or, well, yet to find out. So, let's begin with pot 1, which has been revealed to be Greece. And in semi-final 2, Greece will be competing in the first half. And now we head over to pot 2. From pot 2, Sweden will be competing in the second half of semi-final 2. We are now headed onto pot 3. And just put my hand in a bit. Okay, we have Spain. Spain will be competing in the second half of semi-final 2. And to pot 4, we have Georgia. Georgia will be competing in the first half of semi-final 2. And finally, the pot 5, we are pulling out the Netherlands. The Netherlands will be competing in the second half of semi-final 2. And we are back to semi-final 1. We have done a full circle. Now let's redo to semi-final 1. We'll head over to pot 1. And I am pulling out the country of Serbia. Now Serbia will be competing in the first half of semi-final 1. To pot 2, we are pulling out Denmark. Now Denmark, land of the Danish obviously, will be competing in the second half of semi-final 1. And now pot 3, we are pulling out the winner of last edition, Malta. Now Malta, our lucky little winner, Malta will be competing in the first half of semi-final 1. Now, pot 4, we are headed to Ukraine. Now Ukraine, you will be competing in the first half of semi-final 1. And finally, we are on to pot 5, where we are pulling out the last winner of the real Eurovision, Austria. Now Austria, you will be competing in the first half of semi-final 1. And now we head back to semi-final 2. let's just see what semi-final 2 decides to give us. So I've pulled out Romania. Romania, you will be competing in the second half of semi-final 2. Next up is Finland. Sorry, took a little breather. Finland, you will be competing in the second half of semi-final 2. Next up we have, to the centre, Hungary. Now, I'm actually feeling quite hungry. Hungary, you will be competing in the second half of semi-final 2. And now let's, just move a little bit along to pot 4, where we have France. Now France, you will be competing in the first half of semi-final 2. And now, finally, we head to pot 5, where we are pulling out Switzerland. Now Switzerland, you will be competing in the second half of semi-final 2. Yes, we've done another full circle. We are finally back to semi-final 1, and then our last reveal until I can reveal the entire running order, hopefully. Now, welcome back to semi-final 1. So, 5 countries left. Let's see what gets what. So we are now on to pot 1, where we have Moldova. Now Moldova, you will be competing in the first half of semi-final 1. Pot 2, we head to the fumbled that a bit bad. The land down under, Australia. Now Australia, you will be competing in the first half of semi-final 1. Next up, we have pot 3. We have Estonia. Now Estonia, you will be competing in the first half of semi-final 1. Final 2 pots, final 2 reveals of semi-final 1. Our next reveal of pot 4 is Poland. Poland, you will be competing in the second half of semi-final 1. And finally, pot 5, once again, we have Belgium. Now Belgium, you guys will be competing in the second half of semi-final 1. And now finally, we are back to semi-final 2. Now, it's our last little bit of reveals, so I'm just gonna see what happens. So, first up, pot 1. Pot 1 has Cyprus. Now Cyprus, you will be in the second half of semi-final 2. This also means now that by default, every other country that gets pulled out will be in the first half. So, we will continue with pot 2, which is Iceland, Bjorkland. Obviously, by default, you'll be competing in the first half. Pot 3, we head over to Italy. Once again, by default, you'll be competing in the first half of semi-final 2. Final 2 pots, final 2 countries. Pot 4 contains Azerbaijan. Azerbaijan, by default, once again, you'll be competing in the first half of semi-final 2. And now, our final country to reveal is Germany from pot 5. And once again, by default, you'll be competing in the first half. Now, all the countries have been chosen, all the halves have been chosen, everybody is selected. Are you finally ready to hear what place you will be competing in the semi-finals? Let me reveal them one by one in a little, fast, slow, kind of funny way. So, in 11th is Albania. Opening up the semi-final one, Australia. In third is last Eurovision's winner, Austria. In 8th, Belgium will be competing. In 14th is Denmark. Now in 2nd is Estonia. In 10th is Little Luxembourg. In 6th is the last Bloxyvision winner, Malta. In 4th is the legendary Moldova. In 12th is Monaco. In 13th is Norway. And in 15th, closing the entire semi-final one, is Poland. In 7th, we will be having the land of Serbia. In 5th is Ukraine. In the 9th place will be the United Kingdom. Now you've heard semi-final 1, I can finally reveal semi-final 2. Are you ready? So, in 4th is the land of Azerbaijan, and closing the semi-finals part is Cyprus. Competing 14th is Finland. In 6th is France. In 2nd is Georgia. Opening up the semi-final 2 is Germany. Competing 7th in the running order is Greece. In 8th is Hungary. In 3rd is Iceland. In 5th is Italy. In 11th, the Netherlands. Competing 13th in the running order is Romania. In 12th, Spain. In 10th, Sweden will be participating. In 9th is Switzerland. Now we have the full results and the full semi-final running order for the Bloxyvision Song Contest 2026. Thank you all so much for watching. The official Bloxyvision host will be revealed next Saturday, so 1 week from today. We'll see you all at Bloxyvision. Thank you so much for bringing me back here. After my last year host, it's been quite a bit of a ride. So thank you, and I wish the best of luck to all participants, including returning ones. Have an amazing time and just have fun. Thank you. Goodbye.